Okay, this is Reality with Partiality. And in studio, I have celebrity Bilal Amir. Warm greetings, my brother.
Yes, my brother Percy, and so you could just say that Bilal Amir is Bilal Morris, no?
Bilal Morris, indeed. Yeah.
Bilal Morris. I just use Amir as my Facebook my
Yes, yes, yes.
Facebook page, but
Yes,
you know,
yes.
the right thing there name is Bilal Morris, which most people would
I
know.
know you as a, yes, I
Yeah,
too know you as Bilal Morris.
would
Yes,
know me as that, you know. Yeah,
indeed, indeed, indeed.
yeah, man.
W-
But it's good to be on your show, brother Percy, and
Yes,
you know, there's just so much to talk about, but I just want to give you the lead, whatever you know the conversation is about. Just let me know, and I could
well,
definitely cover it. You know.
I appreciate it. Well, off the top, I'd like you to please inform our audience, our listening audience, about the diaspora, the Belize diaspora. What is going on with our diaspora? Bring us up to date, please.
Well, you know, my brother, the diaspora issue in the United States, the United Kingdom, the Belizeans who have left Belize have migrated for greener pastures or for a better
Mhm,
life.
mhm,
Uh, we did not migrate because of civil war,
mhm.
right? Which have driven most people in Central America, in Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras. Most of those people,
Yes.
which I would call uh, Latino immigrants in the United
Mhm.
States, which is the coin that they give to them, they
Yes.
left for better life because they were fleeing for their lives. The
Right.
Europeans, we didn't have that. The only British-speaking country in Central America didn't really had that. British colonialism played a significant
Mhm,
role on the
mhm.
minds of the people, and I think that significantly has to be put into play and has to be a part of the conversation when you talk about Belizean migration. Um,
Yes. Yes. Yes.
we the reality that we had to live in after colonialism.
Uh-huh.
It was a lot of pressure on the people's mind, how to survive and stuff like that. So
Yes. Yes.
um,
Yes.
people don't understand, like Franz Fanon has said, that colonialism has a way, it is a weapon which has
Mhm.
driven a lot of people, Africans, most of all, out of Africa to Europe, right?
Yes.
And it's
Yes.
the same thing, the Caribbean to Europe and
Mhm.
mostly London and these places, homes
Yes.
of the of most of all the slave masters.
Yes.
I will speak
Mhm.
very frankly like that. And so
Yes.
Belizean migration is a product, it was driven a lot by
Mhm.
colonialism, British colonialism.
Yes.
So many people sought refuge or looked to better pastures or better ways of life in the UK, right? Many
Yes.
Belizeans went to
Mhm.
England. And you talk
Mhm.
about the migration that occurred by the during World War I and World War II, and the impact
Right.
of those wars, because again, British colonialism consolidated fighters, forestry
Mhm.
workers to
Mhm.
go to the UK. And we have to start there
Yes.
before we even get into the
Yes.
United States,
It's
right?
true. It's
Um,
true. It's true.
I myself had an uncle who left for Scotland with the British
Mm.
forestry workers, and we, you know, the impact, the role they played in building the infrastructure for the war machine of World War II,
Okay.
right?
Ah.
Cutting the
Okay.
forest. And if you heard about the forest felders of Scotland, there's a documentary. All
Mhm.
these Belizean
Mhm.
men who left Belize for Scotland, and some of them came back and some of them never came back. I had
Yes. Yes.
two
Yes.
uncles
Yes.
that went. One came back, and the other one
Okay.
stayed and built a family there. Uh,
Mm.
we can go further back to World War I with
Okay.
Samuel Haynes, understand, and
Yes.
Lyons.
Mhm.
These were two
Mhm.
prominent Belizeans who migrated out of Belize.
Yes.
Haynes came from World War One. Corporal Samuel Haynes, who was part of the British West Indian Regiment. He talked about
Mm-hmm.
the racism that they experienced on the battlefield. They never did see no battle. All those streets you see in Belize, Baghdad, Euphrates, came from the
Ah.
names of World War One. A lot of
Okay.
Belizeans don't really know this, but
No, no, no.
the Samuel Haynes played a very key role in terms of coming back. He never did lead the ex-servicemen riots, right? It was led
Mm,
by another
mm.
one of those ex-servicemen, but he helped created that peaceful solution between the British colonial government and those men who came back. There is a very seminal book that Belizeans should read called Caribbean Radicalism in the 1920s, in
Okay.
Caribbean radicalism in the 28th century, where this
Mm-hmm.
Jamaican
Mm-hmm.
scholar, Winston James, who is a professor
Yes.
at Chico State University in California,
Yes.
he wrote his doctorate dissertation on these Caribbean blacks who who lived in New York and places like that. But one of
Mm-hmm.
the people he prominently featured, and he called him the ardent Pan-Africanist, is Samuel Haynes. A lot of
Yes.
Belizeans don't really know this, but Samuel Haynes was taken out of, not taken, but he was invited by by Marcus Garvey's visit to Belize in the
Uh-huh.
1920s, um,
Uh-huh.
to run the UNIA, the United Negro Improvement Association, um,
Mm-hmm.
version of the
Mm-hmm.
Garvey movement, UNIA, the organization
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
Philadelphia. Haynes run the Philadelphia branch of the UNIA, right? And
Yes.
Winston James studied all these people like Cielga James out of Trinidad, Padmore out of Jamaica. But the one that he featured most prominent was Samuel Haynes. And he said, this man
Mm-hmm.
wrote the poem, wrote the words to the Belize's national anthem. But the Belizeans don't
There
really
you
know
go.
they even having this man. You know,
There you go. Yes. Yes.
he raised Haynes on the pedestal where Haynes belonged, and that was very impressive to me. And I would advise people to read that book. And then we have Ernest
I
Lyons,
know.
right?
No, no. Before you, I want you to know that I sat next door to Adelbert Ambassador Tucker.
Yes, my
And
brother.
I'm pretty sure that you had a close relationship with Ambassador.
Very much so.
Uh,
One of
and
my
he was,
mentors.
yeah, he was ensuring that he kept Samuel Haynes front and center, right, in the psyche of Belizeans.
Yes, yes.
As well, I don't know, I'm pretty sure you're aware, Bert went on to establish in Flowers Bank a monument with I don't remember if it were 14.
The Bell
Uh,
Rive Project, Belize River Valley.
thank you.
Yes.
Belizeans who participated, in the September. When was it? What we celebrate every year at September 10. That
Yeah,
event.
the Battle of
That
St. George's Key.
But
Yes.
I speak a little bit more to that. The relationship with Ambassador Tucker, because I think you also wrote about him.
Very much so. Very much so. I did. Yes, yes, yes. And so
Go ahead. Go ahead.
you brought up
Without go.
a very, very pivotal Belizean as who was a part of the whole migration process. And we have people like Odinga Lumumba.
Thank you.
But let's continue with Haynes. And we did
Go
Haynes,
ahead.
and then we go on to Ernest Lyons before Haynes in the 1800s, 1890s, who was there with Du Bois and them. Lyons became Ernest Lyons, a Belizean, who was a part of the Methodist, the Wesleyan movement. Dr. Ernest Lyons. He migrated from Belize to the United States, and he became the U.S. ambassador to Liberia.
I see.
A lot again of Belizeans. When I'm teaching Belizean studies, or when I'm lecturing Belizean studies, these are the lectures that I give in terms of this. And I taught social studies at EP York High School in Belize, and I noticed that these students
Uh-huh.
cite that anthem, but they didn't even know the man who wrote it
The
and
history,
about him.
yes.
They have all his
Samuel
papers,
Haynes.
don't know anything
Samuel
about
Haynes.
it, right? And that's
Thank you.
that's a
Yes,
problem,
yes, yes.
because then we are not going to feel the essence of the words of that. But Lyons,
Mm-hmm.
before Haynes, uh,
Yes.
became the U.S. ambassador to Liberia.
To
He
Liberia.
clashed with W.E. Du Bois. Um,
Okay.
he had they disagreed on various things, but he was a very important part of the Black civil rights movement in America.
Ah.
And these are prominent Belizeans that migrated out of Belize. And when we talk about Belizean migration, right? And
Yes, yes,
my
yes.
brother, Dr. Jerome Strawn, could shed more light on that. I hope that
Okay.
one day you
Okay.
can bring him on your show, and
Indeed. I'd like that. I'd like
yeah,
that.
he can
Mm-hmm.
take you, because I learned a lot of this stuff from him, things that he
Okay.
passed on to me and said, read this, read that. All right.
All right. Yes, yes.
And so when we look at that migration, and I will stop
Mm-hmm.
at Lions, but then let's go back to Bert Tucker and
Okay.
Odinga Lumumba, right? These
Yes,
were
Odinga. Oh, yes. Oh, the infamous Hands of Agreement. He was right front and center in that, man. Go
right,
ahead, brother.
I
Go
mean,
ahead.
I have to chronicle these people. I don't leave them out of, because they are part of Belizean history. And Bert
Yeah.
Tucker was a Belizean that migrated into the United States. He
Mm-hmm.
did
Mm-hmm.
he many people didn't know that Bert Tucker he did his university education at the UWI, and he was so this
Yes,
brilliant
yes.
economist that he was recruited by Michael Manley in Jamaica to be a top consultant. And
Yes,
a lot of
yes,
people
yes,
don't
yes.
understand that Bert Tucker, the Belizean, like Samuel Haynes, the Belizean and the Garden
Indeed,
movement,
indeed,
Bert
indeed.
Tucker, the Belizean, was a big part of
Yes.
the Jamaica Michael Manley
Yes.
movement, social
Administration.
government,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And Bert
That's
was
true.
up there. So Bert is very
Mm-hmm.
respected in Jamaica. And then
Thank
also,
you.
a lot of
Thank
people
you.
don't know that Bert Tucker was also worked chiefly and
Mm-hmm.
in depthly with with um with the Grenadian Prime Minister Maurice Bishop in the coming to
Yes.
power of the New
Yes.
Deal movement
Yes.
in Grenada.
Yes.
Another top
Yes.
consult, again, his economics and his brilliance in the science of economics brought him to the
Mm-hmm.
shores of helping sustainable development and working chiefly with these two governments. And then also he gave me a story. He said one time when he worked with the United Nations, they posted
Okay.
him to do some work in Ghana. And he said
He
while he
did.
was
He
there with
did.
Flight Lieutenant Jerry Rawlings,
Uh-huh.
the president of Ghana, he
Uh-huh.
said that he was there with he was working closely with the African women who were farmers, and Jerry
Okay.
Rawlings' wife, I think the movement, the Black September movement or something, she was ahead of the women's movement there, and he
Yes.
said he was doing sustainable development there, and so she looked at him and she said, "Where you from?" And he said that he told her, "I'm Belizean." He said, "We have a man from your region right here." And he said for Dinga. He said when Dinga came, and so Dinga played a very important role. Bert's work with Africa and SWAPO and the South African Revolutionary Movement of South Africa during apartheid. Bertuka was very broad, and he did as he did. He stepped up the game in terms of continuing the process where Lyons and Haynes did. As this Belizean
Yes.
migrant to the Belizeans who migrated to the shores of American United Kingdom, they played important role, like Winston James said in his book, Caribbean Radicalism in the 1920s. Caribbean blacks played a very significant role in the development of those regions. So our migration was not only to seek greener pastures or
Uh-huh.
to flee for a better life, but
Uh-huh.
also those migrants, those Belizean migrants, played a significant role. And we just cited Bert Tucker
Yes.
role at the United Nations, his role
Yes.
Southern Africa. Bert Tucker,
Mm-hmm.
PhD, which I think he never did get to finish,
Mm-hmm.
was based. We saw it because I was part of an organization called BREDA, the Belize Rural Economic Development of Agriculture Through Alliance, in the
Okay.
1980s. And Bertha
Okay.
used to come into Los Angeles, and he helped farm brother, as a matter of
Oh,
fact. And
yes.
he used to tell us about all the information coming out of Southern Africa, right? The
Yeah,
frontline
yeah,
state,
yeah,
apartheid, and South Africa. And he was
yeah.
working in there. He was working in there, and he showed us one time the manuscript. I mean, his doctorate dissertation that he was doing at UCLA. It was called
Okay.
"The Public Administration System of Namibia." He actually wrote that.
Wow.
Public Administration System of Namibia. He was deeply in Namibia, working,
Yes.
helping them, because so the South African government was trying to undermine all these frontline states, right?
Yes.
Just like you see the Zionist state of Israel is doing right now in terms of trying to destabilize the region to stay in power. But that's just a
Yes.
matter of time before that regime fell, like the South like that regime fell in South Africa. And so,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that was the work that he was doing, and he was like, this is a Belizean that is
Yeah.
doing this tremendous work that migrated out of there. So we're staying on migration, and then Odinga's
Mm-hmm.
work, you know,
Odinga.
Odinga was
Odinga.
intricately and passionately involved with the Rawlings government. Twice the
But were
Rawlings.
you still in Belize for heads of agreement, or you
Yes,
already migrated?
let me give you a story, Percy. I was working with
Please,
the audit
please. Uh-huh.
department, right? And
Okay.
the tensions were high, you know, the
Yes, yes, yes,
agreement,
yes.
rejection by the Belizean people, right? Trying
Mm-hmm.
to make
Mm-hmm.
Guatemala, Belize a part of the Republic of Guatemala was a high thing, because the
Yes.
Webster proposals came right back into the heads of agreement, and the Belizeans rejected it. I was a 19-year-old
Right.
kid, young
Okay.
man, 19-year-old
Oh,
young man, right? Youth.
yes,
And so
yes.
working with the audit department, I saw this guy coming up the stairs, right? The audit department used to be
Oh,
behind the
this is
building.
Odinga. Odinga.
He himself, but I didn't know who this
Yeah.
was. And I
Yeah.
just knew that the tensions were high. There were riots going on out there.
Uh-huh.
But
Uh-huh.
we were in office. The civil service was rolling.
Yes,
He had
yes,
a
yes,
machete in
yes.
his hand, and he was dressed in this African regalia, you know,
I
kufir.
remember.
Being a
I
Muslim
remember.
myself, I know could connect with what
Yes,
because
yes,
he
yes.
became a Muslim in Ghana, and so he
Uh-huh.
wore this kufir and
Yes.
this African style, Ghanaian
Uh,
style. I have a couple of them today because I'm friends with a lot of Ghanaian Muslims,
okay.
and he had this dress on that is a top and bottom that is strictly
Yes.
African Islamic dress, right?
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
so
Yes.
he came upstairs and he just sat on one of the desks with this machete in his hands, and he said, "Y'all need to shut down this office and go home." And so we were
Wow.
like, "What the hell is this? Who is this guy?" And
Yeah. Yeah.
our
Yeah.
boss came out, Chauncey Cleland. He
Mm-hmm.
was the boss. He came on and he like, "Who are you?" And I think I took that machete
Uh-huh.
slapped me a couple
Uh-huh.
times, and then I said, "You know, here I am with the clothes on this office. You need to shut."
Yes. Yes.
And the
Yes.
boss
You
shut
put
up
it
every
in.
time. Everybody go home.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
I
Yes.
experienced that with I experienced that. And
Yes.
after that, I went out to Central Park, and you know, he was a leader of a movement called BAM, Belize Action,
Yeah.
with
Yeah. Belize Action Movement.
here and
Mm-hmm.
Kenworth Tillett, and all of them.
Yeah.
They were the ones
Yeah.
that led that whole rebellion against
Yes.
treacherous heads of agreement, right?
Yes.
That's the first
Yes.
time I saw that figure. And yes, the heads of agreement and the Dinga Lumumba. He had just, whenever Rawlings took power in Ghana twice. I mean, he overthrew the government of Ghana. There was an
Uh-huh.
African tribe that used to run the government that was very corrupted. And
Okay.
Rawlings, being that he was half Scottish, half African, he was a
Mm-hmm.
mulatto, you know, Creole,
Yes.
African.
Yes.
He he was a flight lieutenant. He was
Okay.
flew the Ghanaian. He was the part of the Ghanaian Air Force, military,
Okay.
and so he
Okay.
took power twice, overthrew them, and just tell them like, hey, you know what, you know, rule with honesty, man, and give the people. But they were so
Ah.
corrupted. My Ghanaian friends today told me it was a tribe that was running that government that they were very corrupt, because Ghana have a lot of tribes, right?
Yes.
And the
Yes.
third time, when he overthrew them, he took power. And every time that the two times that he overthrew that government, they deported Odinga because he was not a Ghanaian citizen, and that's why he would come into Belize.
Ah, I
You know,
see.
that's how he would
I
come into
see.
Belize, right? And I remember visiting a Mandela press and saw him there with Papa Chita and all of it.
Yeah. Yeah,
Right? That
Papa
was his
T.
base.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
twice. And then the third time when Rawlings left power,
Uh-huh.
they confined him into solitary confinement and then deported him. I understood that he got sick while he was in solitary confinement. Then he came into
Okay.
Belize and he was there for a while and then he passed away. But these are
Okay.
prominent Belizeans who have migrated.
Yes,
Odinga comes from
yes.
the Bullers. Of you know the Buller saloons, right? In the south, in Stan Creek.
Yes, I
Right?
know the bullet story.
Bullers.
Yes.
Odinga comes from
Yes.
a prominent family, and
Okay.
if we know the Bullers, they were two brothers. They had stores and
Yes.
they came out of Honduras and they were very,
Okay.
very prominent Black Belizean businessmen. That
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Odinga came from
Yeah.
that perspective.
Wow.
But we look and if we are tracing that whole line, per se, the
Mm-hmm.
timeline of Belizean migration, but we want to also, if we cannot do that unless um, we highlight those prominent Belizeans who played
I
instrumental
agree.
roles in the
Yeah.
development of the places where they went. Odinga in Ghana, Bert Tucker at the United Nations in Africa and the Caribbean, Samuel
Well,
Haynes in New York in the civil rights
well,
movement, in the Garvey movement, and Ernest Lyons. I have to really feature those people.
well, you might as well tell us what you know about. I mean, Evan stayed with it, but was it from the 50s, 60s? All these guys at some point touch pointed with it, but you bad man. Tell me that man.
Oh
Give
man,
us a little, give us
look,
some a taste of the history
look.
of you bad.
I was when I was a high school student at St. Michael's College.
Uh-huh.
I had a problem in reading a lot of European literature.
Okay.
When I read Evan X. Hyde's American Blues. I remember someone gave me
Okay.
that book, and I read
Mm-hmm.
about this outstanding Belizean at Dartmouth College that came back.
Mm-hmm.
People would want to say, and I put that in quotes, radicalized by the civil rights movement that he saw in America. And as
Yeah.
he wrote, in his, I was in the mountains of New Hampshire, where, this Black Caribbean student out of Belize, and very good book that I recommend to a lot of people. A lot of
Okay.
people from the Caribbean are looking for that book
Mm-hmm.
because they are studying the Black movements of the Caribbean, and Evan X. Hyde keep coming up to them. I just
Yes.
recently was
Yes. Yes.
notified by a Caribbean. He's part Trinidadian, part Guyanese, and he said he was reading some work and he's doing some studies, and you see Evan Hyde's name keep popping up, in there. So he wanted to know where he could get American Blues, but it's out of
Yes.
publication. So the UBAD movement, as we know,
Mm-hmm.
started. Evan X. Hyde himself was a Belizean in the diaspora at one time. He migrated to go to school, lived in New
Okay.
York. He mentioned that he met Samuel Haynes briefly in New York through Philip Golson and Lee Richardson
Yes.
in New York.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
uh, when I showed him the book, Caribbean Radicalism in the 1920s by Winston James, he was so impressed. He published so
Ah,
many sections of that book because he had never seen nobody. And this is not even a Belizean that was writing about him. This was a Jamaican.
okay.
This was a
Okay.
Jamaican, and he was
Okay.
very impressed with that. But UBAD influenced in the late 1960s and 70s. It was a new awakening. Um, it was a new awakening for a lot of Black people in Belize at the time when UBAD started. I remember I was a boy, and I remember seeing the public meetings between West Street and Church where I lived, and seeing these figures like Evan X. Hyde, Ishmael Omar
Mm-hmm.
Shabazz,
Mm-hmm.
Rufus X, Papa Cheetah, and these were fires, right? I used to go to a
Yeah.
barber shop called Mel. He was a part of the Nation of Islam, and
Okay.
this he had a barbershop right at the corner of West Street there by the famous Harlem Square, right? Club, right? And man, I used to read Ebony and he used to have Ebony and Jet, and used to read about the civil rights movement and see all these figures like King and Malcolm X and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was looking at a version of that in Belize itself, right? And as a young kid, young boy, I had consciousness. You know, I had black consciousness with me. I was always very conscious of that, and I very much never missed any of the meetings. But I remember my sisters and them going to wanting to go to knock your own thing when the big announcements, right? To go to that UBAD was holding. My father would say, knock your own thing. Nobody knock on the outside. And I was the second to the youngest in my family, and
yes.
bad. But the role
Yes,
that
yes.
UBAD played in making for me was a reawakening of the after Haynes and the Garvey movement. UBAD came and Evanex Hyde and those who were involved with UBAD, all those legends, political, cultural legends of UBAD, continue for me what Haynes started. Though Haynes did that in the diaspora, right? UBAD continue that radicalism, that revolutionary spirit of challenging the status quo, like Haynes did, right?
Yeah, yes.
Like Haynes did. Because a lot of Belizeans don't understand the depth of Haynes. They thought that was
we don't. You know why?
Yeah.
I know you know why.
Yeah,
because they taught us Western civilization.
British colonialism, as I would say that.
Yes.
British colonialism was responsible for the brain drain as much as any other factor. 1931 hurricane or 1961 hurricane, which I want to get into. That those hurricanes, my brother Jerome Dr. Strawn disagrees that the 1961 hurricane and the 1931 hurricane did not impact Belizean chain migration out of Belize.
He disagrees. Okay.
A lot of Belizeans left Belize, which was British Honduras at the time, to seek a better life after the destruction of those two hurricanes, right?
For sure.
I want to also,
for sure.
Hattie, I wrote passionately about those two hurricanes from the narratives of my mother. 131, she was a little girl. 61, I was just born, right? She said, I was born on a Sunday, right? And she said I was disappointed. I was born. We used to call ourselves the post-Hattie generation, right? Because we were born.
Yes.
Yeah. But migration, Belizean migration was exacerbated by a couple of different factors. I would say British colonialism, natural disasters, seeking better life because of the difficulties and the hardships of living in Belize and trying to find a better life. For many different reasons, Belizeans, but we cannot talk about Belizean migration out of Belize without championing the historic and chronicling the historical figures that played a tremendous role in the migration of Belize. And as I said, I have to always cite those 4 Belizeans or 5 Belizeans that I cited there, who did not only migrate, became richer, or just, you got a lot of our people just migrated and they're comfortable in the United States, they're comfortable in the UK, they don't get involved in anything, but
to contribute back.
They just don't want anything to do with Belize. These Belizeans, Belize was at heart, though they were making an impact on significantly. Their names are written in the history books today. How
did you evolve and gravitate more and more into becoming a historian, a teacher, professor, and all that? How?
It's for the main factor that, as you rightfully said earlier, Brother Percy, that when I was in high school, we were learning European history.
Yes, we did.
We
Yes,
learned
we
about
did.
slavery. We learned about Caribbean history, that the British, their role in the slave trade, their role in developing these
Mm-hmm.
Caribbean nations. But we
Mm-hmm.
never learned
Mm-hmm.
Belizean history, right? We never learned Belizean history. We knew nothing
Okay.
about
Okay.
Belizean history. The most
No,
Belizean
no.
history we used to get was through a mandala outside of the classroom, right?
True. It's true.
Outside of the
It's
class.
true.
And
And and if you allow me, I have to agree that my neighbor, uh, uh, Mr. Hyde, at one point in Belizean history, the way a mandala would go, whichever party they supported was the party that would win the election, the general election. That's a fact that I witnessed myself.
yes,
A mandala was it. A mandala was it for a very
yes,
nice chunk of our Belizean history, particularly because Belize City became the hub machine for politics. It has most of the constituencies, for one thing. But anyway, you continue with, but I just needed to give some credit because he stuck with that from a mandala. He added the mandala. He and then the television uh, section.
section, yeah,
He built an empire. He really built an empire back there at Partridge. Um, and he continued the UBAC tradition. He just continued educating about. So he's a very steady hand, like you are, educating, because a lot of tradition is passed down, you know, like you're doing, right? Now we have internet. Now we have um, the ability to store in the cloud. But man, back then it was just a mandala.
yeah. And he revealed. The word I love to use is revealed, because most of the information was in the dark. British colonialism
Yes,
kept us in the dark, and the politicians kept it
yes,
the same way. They didn't teach us our history. They didn't teach us how we were governed.
right, right.
Mandala, in a way, was the other school outside of the classroom. That
It
that
was.
alternative version of the history.
Yes,
This
yes.
was the publisher being recipient of a State Department scholarship that went
Mm-hmm.
to study and got the right information while he's abroad. I tell a lot of people, like, how do you know all this stuff? Um,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
a lot of Belizeans in Belize, like, how you know all these stuffs in my lectures and in my teachings,
Yes, yes.
schools and throughout the country. And I try to tell a lot of people, principals that I have spoken at their schools, that I learn more about my country outside of Belize, outside. Um,
Okay.
these information that I'm bringing here is information that I learned outside of Belize. And sometimes Marcus Garvey liked to use the term that the university of the street, the university outside, that you have to seek knowledge.
Yes,
You have to
yes.
seek knowledge. You can't just accept certain things, um, that it is so, that you have to research, go and find out. Malcolm liked to say, never let someone tell you about something or about someone. Go find out about it yourself. And this was my
Yes.
theme. This was always my consciousness. And again, coming out of Belize as a youth, and living in the United States as a Belizean migrant, that has always driven me. Amandala, UBAD, the consciousness that I developed while in Belize, because my consciousness developed in Belize. And so I got involved with organizations in the United States, Bread,
Okay. Okay.
Land,
I know.
the Los Angeles Muslims of Belize. I
Oh, okay. Okay.
My own
Okay.
conversion to Islam came outside of Belize itself. Though I used to
I
know
see.
the Belize
I
Muslim
see.
movement with Nur Muhammad and
I
Brother
see.
Shabazz and Justice, but the man that I forget to talk about is Brother Justice X, right?
Okay.
I
Okay.
remember as a boy watching him speak on those UBAD forums, man, podiums. And that was a fiery speaker. And I later on got to meet him at Motomara Village, you know.
Yeah.
People don't know the
Okay.
history of Motomara Village, right? And UBAD is, when you talk about UBAD, you have to talk about Ishmael Shabazz and Justice, the two Muslims that was a part of UBAD.
I would like to know for myself because I'm friends with Muhammad. And he still has a show on Cremandala.
Yes,
But
the
I'd like to
WUD.
know. I've never asked him. To educate about the Muslim or Muslim, the belief system, or and slash practice. What can you briefly tell us what?
Yeah, you know, the Islam started, I want to give you a background of Islam started in Belize. Nur Muhammad is a prominent historian on this because he was not only a Muslim, but he was also a part of the UBAD movement. Nur Muhammad played
Okay.
a tremendous role. He's the
Okay.
one that developed the breakfast program, the
Okay.
introduced UBAD to the sort of the Black Panther style of the breakfast
Mm.
programs. He brought that in, right?
Okay.
Nur Muhammad was a very played a very key role in the UBAD movement. But
Okay.
to talk about Islam in Belize and
Mm.
Muslims, you to understand any Muslim, you have to understand Belizean Muslim, you have to also understand the role Islam played in Belize itself and
Uh-huh.
the Nation of Islam coming in with again another prominent figure, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, that produced men like Malcolm X, El Hajj Malik Shabazz, and Minister Farrakhan today. But most of all, Malcolm, because I became a student of Malcolm. And
Oh.
a lot of
You,
people did not.
you ever met him? You ever met him?
I've never met Malcolm. I
Okay.
was too young when he got assassinated. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I
Yeah.
was, yeah, that was
60s.
1965.
Yeah.
Yeah, 65.
Yeah, we were young.
I was
Indeed.
like
Indeed. We were too
3 years
young.
old,
Yeah.
right? But reading
Yeah. Yeah.
about Malcolm and being a student of Malcolm, he said,
Yeah.
Malcolm was a political scientist.
Yeah.
But these people came from out of the Nation of Islam. They were the product of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. That was the
Yes.
picture. And so they
Yes.
never
Yes.
had a best version of Islam. But what they did, they mixed it with black nationalism to produce one of the greatest movements in the world. Though it was not as large as the Garvey movement, the Garvey movement created the largest black movement in America, the Garvey movement. And then after that came the Nation of Islam, right? And the impact the Nation of Islam had in cleaning up black men in the prisons and in
Yeah.
criminal life. And so the
Yeah.
Nation of Islam
Yeah.
introduction into Belize with Shabazz, I mean with justice. A lot
Mhm.
of people don't understand how justice came
Yes.
to
Yes.
Belize.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
that when he came in and started to preach Islam, that version of Islam from the Nation of Islam, okay, he was
Uh-huh.
incarcerated in a prison in Georgia, and he met
Okay.
the Nation of Islam in there, where he learned about the nation. And so when he was deported back to Belize, he preached that version, and Josh Price, I understand, right? Thought he was crazy, and they put him in crazy house. Right?
Really?
Yes, first these are history that Belizeans don't know about, but because
Yeah.
you see,
Yeah.
Belize being a Christian society, a
It
predominant
is.
Christian society,
It is.
you see this figure coming in 1960s. A lot of people don't understand that justice was responsible for bringing in Muhammad Ali, another Muslim,
Yeah. I see the black and white pictures of that. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
He
Yeah.
believed
You post some of these things.
1965,
Yeah.
gave an
Yeah.
exhibition fight
Yeah.
at the Palace Theater. This was a prominent
Mm-hmm.
Muslim
Mm-hmm.
figure that came from out of
Mm-hmm.
the Nation of Islam, that later on
Yes.
became a prominent Muslim global icon.
Thank you.
Right?
Thank you.
Not
Thank
only
you.
a great
Thank you.
athlete and a great
Thank
boxer,
you.
but a great
Yeah.
Muslim
Yeah.
icon. that came out.
Refusing to fight an unjust war.
Right. But he came to Belize. And
He
I
did.
understand
He
that
did.
when he had the exhibition fight there, they which was, bless the heart of Santiago Castillo, who at the time,
Yes.
and at the
Yes.
time,
Yes.
the great Belizean, legendary Belizean boxer and boxing coach, Gus Marin was at his,
Okay.
was Muhammad Ali's corner man, right?
Opa.
A lot of people don't know these kinds of history.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I understand that reading the history and researching it, and from
Mhm.
people who lived it and who was at that boxing match, right? Gilledon
Yes.
told me that he and Brother David fought the exhibition fight, right? Before the Muhammad
Mhm.
Ali exhibition,
Mhm.
fight. And
Mhm.
Gilledon said that, these are narratives that we have to capture from our people before they go. And that's why I do what I do. Because
Thank you. Thank
narratives
you.
that the griot, the stories from our ancestors, that people who are African ancestors who brought these information, like my own mother, that
Yes.
I
Yes. Yes.
probe.
Yes.
But
Yes.
know,
Yes.
they talk about that. Muhammad Ali said that when he saw they were closing up the doors and the poor people couldn't get in, he said, "Open up the door and let the people come in." And
There
that's
you
when he
go.
opened up the door, and all the people came in. That was the kind of
Yeah.
person it is. This man had an impact on the Belizean minds and the Belizean Muslim community. And so I
He
have
did.
to say that, give that background, and then Nur Muhammad coming in, that he was an official sent by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to establish a more structured version of the nation in Belize. And that version of the Nation of Islam then transitioned into Orthodox Islam, which today is the worshiping of one God. Muslims don't believe that Jesus is God. Muslims believe that God is one and one alone, that he
There
has
you go. Okay.
coordinates, right? He's an unseen. He's in the
He
heavens. He's the
is a
creator.
spirit. A
You
spirit.
don't have
Yes.
no son,
Yes.
and no daughter, no ma.
I got you. I got you. I got you.
No, radically just like that.
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
understand that
Uh-huh.
that's Islam. So worshiping of one God, and that the prophet of Islam is Muhammad the prophet, and he came 600 years after Jesus the Christ. And that
Okay.
Jesus the Christ prophesied in the gospel the coming of Muhammad, the last prophet. After him, there are going to be no more, right?
Okay. Okay.
Islam is a very simple way of life. Muslims pray
Mm-hmm.
5 times a day. As again, they worship one God. They don't believe that God is Jesus. They believe that
Yes.
God is the unseen God, unseen in the heavens, right? That has
A spirit being.
create everything.
You,
The sun, the moon. How
you're
can
right.
Jesus create the Jupiter and Saturn? You
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Jesus was endowed by his master
Yes.
to have
Yes.
miracles, to turn water into
Yes.
wine, turn stone into
Yes.
bread. But he could not do
Yes.
that without
Yes.
his without the creator who created him. He was created without a father. Now who can create
Well,
someone without a father? Right?
I agree. Thank you.
Mary
Thank you.
was a chaste woman. She was a prophetess. And
Yeah.
the master, God in the heavens, put his spirit into the womb of a virgin named Mary that conceived Jesus the Christ. That is a miracle of
Mm-hmm.
a kind. I mean, it's not for you to take him and make him your God, right? But
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
worship the God that created him. You
I
know what I'm
got
saying?
you. I got
And
you. I
so that's
agree.
Islam. That's
I
Islam in a
agree.
nutshell. And just very basic and simple way of life that
Yes.
respects one who creates us. That's all it is. To respect
Thank
and
you.
worship him in the way that he wants you to worship him, not the way that you want to worship, but in the way he wants you to worship him. And
Thank you so much
that's
for
Islamic
the
faith.
education.
Yeah.
Because yeah, you're maybe just a year or two older than I, but gee wee, there has been so much disinformation, misinformation. There's been and deliberately so, discrimination regarding the Muslim, particularly the hairstyle. It still is, but I'm talking here in Belize now. I don't even want to go out there, but I'm talking here.
The impact of British
Well,
colonialism again, right? That
there you go.
emphasize
but
these. Yeah.
yeah, but sum it up for us. But I want to know so much about you did some formal training. I'm sure you did because you're teaching college. You're a journalist. So that part you're so humble about, but we need to put it on the record because
Yes,
you
my
left
brother.
Belize and you continue to educate formally and informally. Am I wrong?
Yes, indeed. Yes,
Oh,
indeed. Yes,
okay,
indeed.
okay.
I am an educator in the classroom and outside of the classroom.
Mm-hmm,
And I keep
mm-hmm,
on learning. I have not arrived. I'm still
mm-hmm.
learning. No one has arrived. We're always learning new things.
Thank you.
I remember my
Yes.
brother Evan X Hyde used to like to tell me, "Be quiet, listen to me, and hold on, yo." You know? But no, he's right. We youngsters, we want to think that we can. Oh, we know something, and oh yeah. And Evan has corrected me on a lot of things, and he has educated me outside of the classroom. And he have educated me about the things that I've written about. He have helped me to put the facts back, put the facts together.
Okay.
So I have
Yeah, yeah.
written. I'm a documentarian in
Okay.
true sense of the word. I document everything about Belizean history, its sport,
Mm.
music,
Mm.
its
Yeah.
culture, its politics,
Yes.
and we have to tell our own story, not his story, right? We have to stop blaming the man about our miseducation, and we have to start taking it upon ourselves to seek knowledge, as the Prophet Muhammad would say, from the cradle to the grave, right? And seek knowledge,
Yes.
said, even if you have to go to China. Understand?
Yes.
We have to take
Yes.
that when we're going to be right there and believe deaf, dumb, and blind. And we're going to be comfortable with our colonialism. We're going to be comfortable with our colonized minds. So I make an initiative to go as a journalist, to go to the facts, to go to it,
Mm-hmm.
find out where
Mm-hmm.
it is, travel across my
Mm-hmm.
country rather
Mm-hmm.
than don't know where a lot of my parts of my country is, right? Go and meet my,
Right.
right? Get there and covering
Yes.
legends of sports, man. Um, the women of softball greatness, brother. The men of
Yeah.
football greatness, brother. The
Yes.
musicians,
Yes.
brother. Dr. Jerome
Yes.
Shaw showed me a thing some years ago that there was a Belizean, and Dickie Strong just recently wrote his book, another legendary Belizean again that had come into Belize and had radicalized music because
Ah.
after Dickie Strong left Belize, music by these musicians that he taught was never played
Mm-hmm.
the same way anymore,
I
right?
see.
But that there
Okay.
was a Belizean during the Duke Ellington time named Segere in New Orleans that was very prominent, playing with a lot of these big jazz bands, right? We
Really? Okay.
we don't know a lot of these things, but again, I always credit my good friend Dr. Jerome Strong, very overlooked
Mm-hmm.
sociologist that people need to talk
Mm. Mm.
because he's just
Yes.
a wealth of information. And I don't
Yes.
see,
Yes. Yes.
the status quo or certain people in high play in just in grassroots and in middle, seeking this brother because this brother is a wealth of information. As a matter of fact, he's one of my teachers,
He
and he's
is.
younger than I, you know. Dr. Strong has a wealth of information, and I hope that one day you can bring him
Mm.
on your show and so that he can
Sure. Sure.
connect a lot of the dots that I have spoken about. But
Thank you.
yeah, I'm a documentarian, and these are the things that I have done. And I have taught that way in my own American classrooms. I've taught, I teach with a global perspective, right?
Mm.
My
Mm.
students know me and they love my style because I always tell them, put down the math, put down the science. Let me give you a global consciousness. And they love it.
Okay.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
this is where I come from. These young people
Mm-hmm.
today are very brilliant. But if you give them a sense of consciousness about the world, despite of their colors, black,
Yes.
white, Latino, and so forth. And as I talk about that, I want to also raise the fact that here in Los Angeles,
Mm-hmm.
Belizeans are the largest black immigrant group, right?
Okay.
We can, as we
Really?
on the con, this is I never noticed, and like we said, we
Wow.
I was my wife and I was trying to get a home modification uh,
Uh-huh.
for a home, and
Yes.
the person the person that was having the meeting was the Congresswoman Karen Bass, who is now the mayor of Los Angeles, right?
Yeah.
And so after the modification thing, she had her constituency met at the library and she helped everyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I engaged her afterwards, and she and I started talking. And she looked at me and she said, "What I was trying to do, per se, was trying to lobby her because I knew she was in Congress. She and Maxine Waters, and
Right.
we are having problems with having lobbyists for the Anglo-Guatemalan claim. As you know, that claim is against
Right.
Jane. So I was
Yeah,
trying to
yes.
lobby the
Mhm.
Congresswoman, being the political machine I am, right? And my savvy political astuteness, I said, let me speak to her. And she says, no, you have to speak to Maxine Waters. She's in the Ways and Means
Oh,
Committee. And so, but she will see what she can do in terms of that. And she said, where are you from? I said, I'm Belizean. She says, do you know that the Belizeans are the largest black immigrant group in LA? And I was like, no,
wow.
I know.
Wow.
I said, how do you know that? She says, because they
Hmm.
vote for me in my constituency. And I was like speechless because this is facts here.
Indeed. Indeed. Indeed.
I didn't know it. She says you have Latino
Neither
immigration
did I.
and you have black immigration. She said it is the
Okay.
African diaspora that have sent me to Washington.
Wow.
She
Wow.
says she comes out of the anti-apartheid movement. And
Okay.
she said it is the African diaspora. That is Africans, immigrants, Caribbean
Mm-hmm.
immigrants, Central
Mm-hmm.
American black immigrants,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And she's very
Yes.
prominent with both black and Latino immigrants
Uh,
who have voted for her, right? Because she has some part of her heritage is Latino, is Latina,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
Congresswoman Karen Bass said this to me, and she says, "But why is it that the Africans, the Nigerians, and the Ethiopians are leading the black immigrant agenda? It should be you all. You see the political
Oh.
astutness of a politician,
Yeah.
understand how to politic." And I stepped
Yes. Yes.
back and
Yes.
I'm
Yes.
like, she said, "You need to come to my black immigration meetings." And I
Okay.
went, right? But the
Yeah.
thing, I didn't have no answer for her. Why is it that the Nigerians and the
Mm-hmm.
Ethiopians are leading Belizean
When you
migration,
have the numbers.
with the exception of
Yeah.
these four prominent figures that I talked about? They were no play. But most
Mm-hmm.
of our people being illegal immigrants to the United States are very low key. That's how I had to
Is oh
explain to the
okay. Okay.
Nigerians are not like that. They are very aggressive, right?
Yes.
Where
Yes.
they come from, they're very aggressive. They don't care if they're legal or not. They're gonna go for it. Belizeans are very low back, laid back.
Yeah.
They're behind the scene because I explained
Boy.
to her. She says, but that still should not be an excuse. She said, do you
Mm-hmm.
know what kind of political power that is?
That's true.
You have?
That's true.
Yes, we have it, but we don't know how to use it. With the exception
How to
again,
use.
speak about. That's why I have to give you a historical analysis of those men and women. Nadia Katoost in the UK, how she fought, okay, for against the Anglo-Guatemalan claim, being that she was in the belly of the beast in Britain, the colonial master
Yes.
that created that problem,
Yes.
right?
Mm,
Nadia
mm,
Katoost,
mm.
okay. Um, Nadia, not Nadia, Nadia Katoost. I was corrected by
Okay.
Scott the other day. Why you keep on? That's the Spanish version, Nadia. No, Nadia
Nay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Mm-hmm.
English version of her name. And we can talk about other Belizean women who have played significant role in the Belizean diaspora. Because a lot of my Belizean sisters used to like to say, you feature too much man, but the woman ain't there.
Yes,
You know what I mean? But
I
there
agree. I agree. I
are,
agree.
and they are. It's just that the men played a most significant role in the Belizean diaspora than that.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to say that part because black immigration in the United States and the United Kingdom, and wherever you go in Europe, as we just came out of the World Cup, we saw the impact of black immigration in Europe, Belgium, France. See all
Indeed.
standing black players that comes from out of the African diaspora that have made, with the exception of Argentina, they don't have no black player, right? They only have
Yeah.
they have a black they have a revolutionary, which is the most the most outstanding global revolutionary in Che Guevara. But if you go to Messi, he might not even know who that is. Right?
Wow.
The most outstanding, even more outstanding, a lot of the African revolutionaries, Che Guevara,
Check
Argentinian,
about it.
white man,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
you
Yes.
that's the contradictions of Argentina, right? The hypocrisy of Argentina, that they don't even celebrate one of their greatest icons because
Wow.
uh, factors that we know the ruling class wants to kill,
Mm-hmm.
as we know in Belize, why a lot of Belizeans were not known, why a lot of people today are hating on these prominent Belizeans that played a tremendous role. They don't want to hear anything about it because the politicians are significantly involved in the hiding and the burying of history, making
Yes.
sure that these
Yes.
prominent Belizeans who played tremendous roles, who were revolutionaries, right? They don't want the young people today that is coming up. If you ask a young Macaulay, who is Buck Palacio, who is Tash Gutierrez in football,
Yeah.
you understand?
Yeah.
Who is
Yeah.
Incha Adderley, who is Mark
Yeah.
Jones, who is,
Yeah.
and you could go back to Raddy
Mm-hmm.
Leslie
You,
and
you
D
spoke
Line.
of Brady.
You don't know who
Yes.
that is. They
Yes. Yes. To book Martinez.
to Brooke.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yes.
Maya of Avengers
Yes.
and
Yes.
Malanga and Fred Martinez.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't get me started, person, because
We have time though for your parting shot. Whatever you choose to, wrap this segment, this show up with. But I hope you can come back another time, and then yes,
I would be delighted to.
please, please let Dr. Strong know that whenever he's ready, we'll be here, and then I'll also inbox him and repeat the same thing.
Yes,
Your parting shot, my brother. Thanks for coming on the show. Your parting
yes,
shot.
brother. I want to thank you for the invitation. It's been you have given me this invitation a little while back. It just was a matter
Mhm.
of timing. Being off for the summer as a teacher, I have a lot
Okay.
of time to at my hand, and so I was glad when you probed me again to come on, and I just want to message to our young Belizeans of all ethnic groups: um, seek knowledge. Knowledge is very important. Don't be satisfied with your little degrees. It's like
Mhm.
Beverly Smith Lopez, God bless her. She,
Yes, the late. Yes.
politician, they think they got stripes, right? Right. Politician think they got stripes because they got degree and they got power. You know, don't think that because you got a bachelor's and a master's degree that you have arrived.
Yeah.
Belizean young people of all across Belize, this is a message to them, my brother Percy. Seek
Yes. Yes.
knowledge, educate yourselves apart away from the classroom, develop a sense of consciousness, right? Know about
Thank
your
you.
country, learn about how you're governed, know your constitution, understand your Belizean history. Now I understand you're teaching Belizean studies, no? Which is still needs the syllabus of that still needs some packing, still needs some because they are eliminating people that should not be
Mhm.
eliminated that I have brought here to you today,
Thank
right?
you. Thank
Even
you.
in the Belizean studies classrooms, and teachers of social studies and history are teaching Belizean history, but they have excluded. We haven't even talked about Isaiah Marta, who was the first Belizean
No.
millionaire that owned Key
Yes.
Chapel, that was a part of the
Yes.
UNIA, that willed his entire estate to the Garvey movement. You know,
Mm.
and so,
Mhm.
but in part two, hopefully,
Yes,
as
part
we say
two.
in Islam,
Yes.
inshallah, if God is willing, when
Yes.
I will come back another time, we can get more in depth about this. But that is my parting shot for you today, brother. And again, I'm grateful for to you what you're doing, brother Percy, in
Mhm.
disseminating information on your show, in inviting people like myself to come on and to help educate. Because the idea I think is educate and
Thank you.
to
Mhm.
dispel a lot of the misinformation, a
Yes.
lot of things that we were told lies about. That's why I
Mhm.
advise
Yeah.
the young students of history the young Belizean students of history. And if you're not a student of history, become a student of history. Seek knowledge and educate yourselves and develop a sense of consciousness about Belize and about yourself.
Brother Morris, much obliged to you. Have a good one. The tape will be ready in a few. I'll send it to you and post it online.
My brother, it was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Brother Percy. Yes,
Have
man.
a good.
Okay. Have a good one.
You
Bye-bye.
too.